YouTubers, Lee John Blackmore here, super easy guitar. So we've got another questions and answers video going down for you. I've had tons of questions, guys, and I will get to them, except what I'm going to do separate videos because I'm getting kind of the similar kind of questions for each subject. And, you know, I want these videos to be for more than one person. So I'm going to do separate videos, all right? So this week I've had a nice letter from Andrew from New Zealand. Thank you very much. And he brings up some really good points here. He says, hi Lee, I really like your style of guitar tuition on YouTube. So many YouTubers just show that they can play guitar, but don't bridge the gap between when trying to teach someone remotely online. Thank you very much, man. That's, you know, much appreciated, okay? I'm a new beginner, about 3 months on a Takamine acoustic guitar. Takamine, a very nice guitar to learn on. It's kind of like learning to drive in a Porsche, dude. I'm a very late starter at 54 years old, but it's been a dream to play the guitar for a long time. Well, man, it's never too late to start. Hats off to you. Keep going with it, because I will tell you now, I have plenty of students in their 50s, and I have a lot of dudes that are retired that decided to take up the guitar, and they're getting on with it and enjoying it, okay? Look, you've got to be honest with yourself. You're probably not going to be Van Halen, okay? I'm probably not going to be Van Halen, all right? I don't really aspire to be that type of guitar player, but as long as you're realistic, then, you know, you're going to play the guitar and enjoy it at the same time, okay? He says, I find that my fingers are quite stiff, in brackets, a bit short. Look, dude, I teach like 6-year-olds with tiny, short fingers. They do it perfectly, and they play, their frets are usually pretty similar sizes to what we're on, okay? It's all relative. That's no excuse, man. You might think that at the beginning, but actually when you start to get your fingers around, you realize it doesn't really matter, okay? So keep going with that. My fingers are quite stiff, but slowly getting more flexible. Is this something you could cover in the video? Sure. The stiffness is completely normal. I mean, now, obviously I've been playing since I was younger, but as I'm getting older now, I find, as I've covered in other lessons, I have to do finger stretches and hand stretches because I've caused some problems in the past, you know, and I definitely want to avoid that. And this is something you're going to have to do as well, okay? It's just human anatomy. It's how it works. If you watch Keith Richards, you know, his fingers are pretty knackered these days. There's no way, he's lost dexterity, and there's no way he can play like he used to. And this is just, you know, this is just how it is. But with nice warm-ups and that, never play with cold hands, okay? So try and avoid playing outside on a cold evening unless your hands are really warm. So stuff like that, or make sure you're warmed up. So, and what I mean by warming up is just, don't play some hard chords, just play some nice easy chords, some open chords, play a song just to warm those fingers up, and make sure you do some nice stretches beforehand, all right? So at the moment I'm learning simple songs, he goes on to say. Horse with No Name, fantastic. Zombie by the Cranberries, I guess, not White Zombie, that would be a bit more technical. As well as learning chord shapes, which is hugely important. Another important area I'm working on is strumming and keeping in time. Been strumming on the metronome, and it was completely unknown to me before playing the guitar. Playing with a metronome is very difficult, my friend. It will improve your time, but I will suggest doing one thing at a time. And something I found not so long ago, I was in the studio recording an artist, and I'm like, are you any good with a click track? And a click track is basically a metronome. It's the same thing. And they're like, yeah, fine. So away I go, I press record, and she starts, the first 4 bars are great, and then it just starts going off. She starts tracking off. A get around for that, because we're in the middle of a recording session, I need her to get this take. What I did, I changed the click track to a drum track. So you can find these apps with little drum machines on, and it'll tell you the BPM, and it'll just give you, you know, it'll just give you a hi-hat and kick or something like that, or a kick and snare, and you can set it to 4/4, you know, and you can set it, you know, to 90 BPM, whatever you're working on, and it's going to feel a lot more natural to play along with than this robotic kind of clicking metronome. Because what you have to do with that robotic metronome, you have to add the feel into it. And as guitar players or musicians in general, you have to learn to swing in and out of that time, you know, and just make sure you land on the beat in the right place. It's a very difficult thing to do. So, you know, I would suggest trying, and there's backing tracks online of just drummers, you know, so drum track, slow tempo, 90 BPM or something like that, you know, and try and play along. Try and make it sound natural. So if you are struggling with click tracks or tempo tracks or metronomes, whatever you want to call them, try and play along with a drummer, okay, or a drum track. So one important thing when learning to change between chords with good timing is you want to imagine this strumming hand is your metronome. This is what will improve your chord changes. Let's take the chords D, A, and E. Okay? So most people do this when they're learning. They go D, stop, they reform the chord, they go A, stop, and then they reform the chord and go E. A lot of people do this. The trick to changing fast is play slow but continuously. This is your metronome. Don't wait, make sure this hand doesn't wait for the next chord. It's got to keep going. Okay? This is my metronome. It's like a pendulum, it doesn't stop, and it forces my hand to change to the next chord. Okay, D, A, E, A, E. Bit of U2, Desire by U2. Okay, so just keep on going with that. It will improve. Don't worry too much about the strings not ringing out. If they're all sounding just, you've got some work to do, right? You need to slow down, reposition, okay? And a lot of rests in between, okay? Don't knacker your hand out. All right, so moving on. He also says, I like blues music and I'd like to be able to play blues riffs and to learn shuffle patterns. Okay, so I did touch on the shuffle pattern in a previous lesson, but he goes on to say also, what does it mean when they say 1, 4, 5 chords? If you're into blues, you have to understand what a 1, 4, 5 is. It's just a chord progression. It's like the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, okay? How do they work that out? What you need to know is the major scale, because anytime you hear numbers in music, whether it's an A7 or a D9 or a flat 5 or anything like that, they're always relating back to the major scale. And the major scale will sound completely familiar. It's like this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Like Mary Poppins stuff, right? So that works anywhere. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You have to know the major scale. I cover it in another lesson. It's the first mode, the first major mode, and it's called Ionian. All right? So my first note is A. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. So in blues, if we're in the key of A and we want to play a 1, 4, 5, the first chord, it's going to be an A chord, right? Because that's the 1. So 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fourth note in the major scale is D. So therefore, 1 is A, 4 is D. 5, do, re, mi, fa, so. That's the fifth note in the major scale. That note is E. So in our 1, 4, 5 progression, we have the chords A, D, and E. Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the evergreens, there was a log cabin made of earthen wood, with a country boy named John. Okay, so A. That's our 1, D. That's our 4, E. That's our 5. So that's what they mean, okay? If it was a 1, 4, 5 in the key of G, then I just find G on my fretboard. I play the major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now that's the major scale in the key of G. The 1 is going to be G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I know that note is C. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The turnaround is going to be D. Dear down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods of mighty evergreens. It wasn't like cabin made of earthenwood. Okay, you get the idea. So you can play it in any key. You don't have to play a shuffle with the 1, 4, 5. You could play like A, D, back to A, E, turn around. And so on, okay? So that's how we know 1, 4, 5 in the key of A, key of G, and so on, okay? So it's a really cool and simple way to play through chord progressions. It's a great way to jam with people, and that's where the numbers come from. Okay, so I hope that covers all of your questions. Please, guys, if you have any questions, drop me a line. Any comments you have, put in the comments box below. I'll do my best to answer them all. If you haven't yet subscribed, I do these lessons every week. Please give me the thumbs up. And guys, I've got some really cool stuff coming. I know I haven't been around for a while, but there's some cool stuff on its way, okay? I'm always working in the background, doing other stuff, and really appreciate your support. And I'll see you again the same time next week. Enjoy.